Close your eyes and picture this: a sunny ballpark, packed stands, the smell of popcorn in the air. Your favorite player's name lights up the scoreboard. He's a media darling, headline king, and the face of the franchise. Fans wear his jersey, kids imitate his swing, and broadcasters talk him up like the next legend in the making. But behind all that buzz, the stats tell a different story. In baseball, hype is one of the game's oldest traditions. It sells tickets, it sells merchandise, and it fuels those endless debates at the bar after a long day. But hype doesn't always match performance. Being overrated doesn't mean a player is bad. Far from it. It just means the expectations placed on him are often higher than what the numbers actually back up. Over the past decade, the sport has seen a parade of players cashing in massive contracts, making all-star teams, and landing on magazine covers. Yet their actual impact on winning games has often fallen short of the hype. Sometimes, their highlight reel moments disguise long stretches of underperformance or inconsistency. That's what we're here to talk about today. 7 players who captured headlines, inflated value, and big paydays, but whose real contributions tell a more complicated story. We'll look at their career arcs, their peak moments, and the reasons why they didn't quite live up to the sky-high expectations. Whether you love them or love to hate them, these guys are fascinating case studies in the gap between reputation and reality. So buckle up, because in no particular order, it's time to separate legend from numbers, myth from reality, and excitement from evidence. First on our list today is Yasiel Puig. Yasiel Puig came into MLB like a hurricane in 2013, a 22-year-old Cuban import with a rocket arm, blazing speed, and swagger that electrified Dodger Stadium. His rookie slash line, a blazing .319 batting average, .391 on base, and .470 slugging percentage, screamed star in the making. He posted a .160 OPS, meaning he was 60% better than league average. And everyone from analysts to fans thought he was destined for greatness. Puig's game was pure electricity. He ran hard, threw lasers from right field, and brought an edge that was impossible to ignore. But beneath that excitement, there were early warning signs. His aggressive approach at the plate led to a high strikeout rate, hovering around 24% in his rookie year, and pitchers soon adjusted. Over the following seasons, Puig struggled to maintain consistent production. His on-base percentage fell steadily, and his batting average dropped closer to the league average. By 2018, his OPS was barely above 100, meaning he was essentially a league average hitter. Defensively, his power arm was offset by poor routes and mental lapses that cost his team outs. Off the field, Puig's fiery personality sometimes caused friction with coaches and teammates, and questions about his work ethic surfaced. By the time his Dodgers career ended, Puig's overall WAR of 18.1 reflected a solid, but not superstar-level contribution, and it's a far cry from the savior many expected. All that said, Puig remains one of the most exciting players of the decade, but also one of the most overrated when looking at the balance of hype versus consistent production. At number 2 today, Eric Hosmer. Eric Hosmer was the quintessential professional hitter during the Kansas City Royals' magical 2015 World Series run. Smooth swing, clutch postseason moments, and an unshakable presence in the clubhouse made him a beloved figure. His solid defense at first base and knack for timely hits made him a perfect fit for that Royals team. Capitalizing on his reputation, the San Diego Padres signed Hosmer in 2018 to a hefty 8-year, $144 million contract, hoping he would anchor their lineup for years to come. But from that point forward, Hosmer's numbers never quite justified the price tag. While his batting average hovered around .280, his power never developed into a consistent threat. His slugging percentage during his Padres tenure rarely surpassed .420, which is underwhelming for a corner infielder. His OPS, a key metric adjusting for ballpark and league, hovered around 107, only modestly above average. Defensively, despite earning 4 Gold Gloves, Hosmer's advanced defensive metrics tell a different story. Defensive runs saved and ultimate zone rating both suggest that Hosmer was a below-average defender during much of his contract. This disconnect highlights how reputation and visual perception can sometimes mask actual impact. The result? Hosmer's production has been more replacement level than superstar, a perfect example of a player whose value was inflated by narrative and postseason heroics rather than sustained elite performance. At number 3, Chris Davis. Chris Davis's story is a cautionary tale of towering expectations, followed by a freefall nobody saw coming. In 2013, Davis blasted 53 home runs with a .286 batting average, slashing .286, .347, .634, and posting a massive 160 OPS. Orioles fans dreamed of a decade-long power surge. Baltimore rewarded him with a 7-year, $161 million contract in 2016, expecting years of dominance. Instead, Davis began a historic collapse. In 2016, his batting average dipped to .221, and the slide accelerated from there. The 2017 season was forgettable, but 2018 was downright brutal. Davis hit just a 168 with a -3.2 WAR, one of the worst seasons ever recorded by a qualified hitter. Between 2017 and 2020, Davis was essentially a net negative player, striking out at an alarming rate and offering virtually no value, despite one of the largest contracts in baseball history. The contrast between his early peak and long tail of ineffectiveness makes Davis a glaring example of how expectations and reality can diverge dramatically in sports. At number 4, we have Jason Heyward. Jason Heyward entered the league with enormous promise, a homer in his first MLB at-bat, plus a reputation as a five-tool player with elite defense. By 2015, the Cubs believed he was a cornerstone, signing him to an 8-year, $184 million deal. Defensively, Heyward has lived up to the billing, winning multiple Gold Gloves and anchoring the outfield with excellent routes and throws. But the bat, that's where the story changes. Since joining Chicago, Heyward's offensive numbers have been underwhelming. His OPS mostly lingered around 700, barely league average for a corner outfielder. He never hit more than 14 home runs in a season with the Cubs, despite the long-term contract and expectations. Yet Heyward's leadership, famously on display during the 2016 World Series rain delay speech, earned him respect and a positive clubhouse presence. But paying superstar money for glove-first production with a below-average bat shows how narrative around character and defense can sometimes outweigh pure numbers in contract decisions. And now it's time for the 7th inning stretch fun fact.
Folks, gather round and lend an ear. While you're humming that classic tune, Take Me Out to the Ball Game, here's a doozy from the archives. In 2018, Chris Davis of the Baltimore Orioles set the Major League record for the longest hitless streak at 54 consecutive at-bats. That's right, 54. That's like missing the fastball all day long, from April to July. But bless his heart, he kept showing up to the plate, reminding us all that sometimes perseverance matters more than performance. Now, back to the action.
At number 5 is Matt Kemp. Matt Kemp was one of the brightest stars in baseball during his peak. In 2011, he nearly won the Triple Crown, leading the league in home runs and RBIs and finishing as a close second in MVP voting. His mix of power, speed, and defense made him a legitimate superstar. Following that peak, Kemp signed a contract extension reportedly worth over $160 million. But the years that followed were marred by injuries, decreased range, and production declines. His defense slipped from Gold Glove level to well below average. Offensively, Kemp's batting average and power declined steadily after 2012. He never returned to his 2011 level, and by the end of the decade, his WAR had dropped dramatically. Though he remained a fan favorite and occasional highlight reel star, his contract became a textbook example of paying for past peak rather than sustained excellence. At number 6, Giancarlo Stanton. Giancarlo Stanton is one of the most powerful hitters in recent memory. His 2017 campaign, featuring 59 home runs and a 1.007 OPS, was a tour de force. But after his high-profile trade to the Yankees, Stanton's career has been riddled with injuries. From 2018 to 2022, he averaged only 88 games a season. While Stanton remained a dominant slugger when on the field, the inconsistency and availability meant he never fully delivered on the massive contract he signed, a $325 million, 13-year deal. The Yankees invested in a feared lineup counterpiece, but injuries turned him into more of a part-time DH and designated power hitter. Stanton's story shows how even the most talented players can be overrated in a contract sense when health issues limit their impact. At number 7 is Pablo Sandoval. Kung Fu Panda won hearts in San Francisco with clutch postseason performances, including 3 World Series rings. His unexpected hot streaks in October of 2012 and 2014 made him a beloved figure. Boston gambled on his postseason pedigree, signing him to a $95 million 5-year deal in 2015. Unfortunately, Sandoval struggled mightily in Boston. Injuries, weight gain, and conditioning problems plagued his tenure. His bat lost its pop, and his overall production cratered. He hit just .237 with 14 home runs over 3 seasons, far below expectations. His defensive reliability also declined, and by the end of his contract, Sandoval had gone from postseason hero to one of the biggest free agent busts in recent memory. So, there it is. 7 players who, despite flashes of brilliance and moments of greatness, were ultimately carried more by hype, narrative, and contract expectations than by consistent elite performance. Being overrated doesn't make them villains or bad players. Instead, it's a reminder of how stories, charisma, and momentary success can sometimes overshadow the grind of daily, season-long production that truly moves the needle. Baseball is a sport built on legends, debates, and passion. It's a game where fans want heroes and stories that inspire. Sometimes that means we crown players as legends before the full chapter is written. These players all gave us unforgettable memories, but when you step back and look at the numbers, the WAR, the OPS, the defensive metrics, you see a more nuanced picture. One where expectations and reality didn't always line up. So, what do you think? Who else should be on this list? Which player's name raised your hackles? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's get this debate going. If you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more baseball insights delivered straight to your screen. Until next time, keep your glove ready, your eyes sharp, and your love for the game honest. Thanks for watching.